Hey, what's up, world? Austin here. Today I'm going to tell Logan a story about winning a race in triathlon. That was nice, but for some reason I didn't enjoy the win. And we're going to talk about why, and in retrospect, why that's kind of sad. And I never really fully understood until recently why I never really fully appreciated it. But did I ever tell you how I won Scott Tinley Triathlon overall? So it's this Olympic distance race. I believe, I forget where it was. It might have been in San Luis Obispo. And Scott Tinley was an icon in the triathlon world. Multiple Ironman World Championships, if anyone's familiar with that. It's a swim, bike, run. And, you know, I would trained and had done over 75 events. And there was this guy that would beat me on every single race. And I was continually racing all around California several times a year, 8-10 times a year. And when I was in my mid-20s, and all I wanted to do at this point was to win a race overall, which I had done on some smaller races, but this one was by a bigger, you know, race production place. And, you know, one of the things is to only worry about what you can control. And something I can't control is the other people that are at the race, right? So there's this guy that I see at this race when I show up, and I had never beat him before. And I was pretty disappointed about it, because I knew that I wasn't stronger than him. And so in my mind, I was like, oh crap, you know, like, am I gonna just take a second place trophy today? So I didn't let that discourage me too much. I went through my pre-race meditation just like I had always done. I was pretty fit, more fit than I'd ever been before. And I could go over the whole race. But I remember the swim went great, and I was probably like third or fourth coming out of the water. And after the swim, you got a basically like a 26-mile bike. And wow, look at that view. Look at those canyons, huh? And if I didn't already mention, we're somewhere between Mexico and LA on the Pacific Crest Trail.
It's beautiful.
And so I remember we got on the bike, and I was like third or fourth, and I slowly started hacking away. I believe that I passed one guy, and there was somebody pulled over on the right, and they're coming up fast because my average miles per hour was like 26 miles per hour on the bike, right? Yeah. And over 26 miles, you try to get 26 miles done within 1 hour. And it turns out that guy that was on the side of the road was the guy I had never beat before. He had gotten a flat tire. Ooh. So in my mind, I was pumped. I was like, this is my day. Mm-hmm. This is my day of glory. Mm-hmm. I am going to win this race. Yeah. So I end up just hacking away. And I remember going into transition, you transition over to the run, and then you do a 10K run. Mm-hmm. And going on to the run, I was in second place. Yeah. And I worked my butt off. And I remember on the run thinking, wow, I'm actually going to win a big, well-known race. And I'm going to be able to show me crossing the finish line, holding up the ribbon on Instagram. And I'm going to be able to brag and show it off, and I'm going to be the champ. I'm going to be the champ of a big race. Yeah. And sure enough, I end up passing the guy, and I'm in first place.
Wow.
I'm winning the race, and I'm ecstatic about it. And I feel like I'm going to become in first place. And I see the finishing chute right there. There's lots of people. I hear a crowd roaring, the music in the background. I see the ribbon.
And you're the first guy?
And I'm the first person. And what I do, just like I had seen in the Olympics many times before, I slow down to a walk. And no, wait for it. I grab the ribbon and I lift it over my head.
Yeah.
And there is a photographer that, go ahead and hold this towards me.
Okay.
That I pretend the camera is here. They're going down here and they're clicking a picture. The person clicks the picture and then goes like this and looks down at the camera and goes like this. And there I am crossing. They didn't get the picture. They didn't get the picture.
Oh my God.
And to this day, I immediately asked them, I was like, did you get the picture? They're like, sorry, no. And I don't even do it. I'm out of gas. I'm like, oh no, they didn't get the most important race of my life of me breaking down the banner. But they did get the second place person crossing the finish line over the head. And so guess what picture they posted?
As first place?
They didn't post it as first place. They posted it as the second place, but they posted it on their website as if it was first place.
Oh my God, sorry, wow.
But the person didn't have a ribbon. But if you went to the results, it showed that I was the winner.
Oh my God.
Right? But I was all butthurt when this happened, right?
Yeah.
I didn't socialize, and there was a shed because this was out in the middle of almost nowhere by a lake.
Yeah.
And yeah, what is that? Is that like a spider or something? It almost looked like a bug. It is a bug. It's crawling. Look at this thing. It's crawling. It's like a hairy-toed bug. It looks like a furry bug. Anyways, I go behind the shed and I'm sulking.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know why it bummed me out so much that I missed out on the vanity. It totally ruined the whole win for me. Because all I really did that for, and at that time in my head, was to have me crossing the finish chute, a whole bunch of crowd roaring, and me holding the banner champion of the race. It's proof, right? But something happened. A man comes over in a hat and he sits down next to me. And I look over and it's just me, and I'm kind of like hiding. And now I kind of feel stupid about it, kind of like a sore winner, if you will. And he's like, hey, you want a beer? And I'm like, He puts out his hand and he says, hi, I'm Scott Tinley. And Scott Tinley was my idol. He's the guy that the whole race was based off of. He's the multiple Ironman world champ. And I was like, huh? You're Scott? And obviously I shake his hand. I'm like, oh my God, yeah, give me a beer. And I pop the beer and I feel better. And he didn't ask me how I'm feeling or any of that. He just kind of very calmly he was wearing a cowboy hat, pretty calm. He said, hey, that was a good race, kid. I said, thank you, sir. I really appreciate that. It means a lot coming from you. And I had the opportunity to ask him. Yeah. And I could ask him any question. I remember that very vividly. I said, hey, Scott, mind if I ask you a question? He's like, sure, kid. I say, out of all the races you've won, out of all the money you've won racing, out of all your legacy, which win was the most meaningful for you? Yeah. And he said, my first win. Oh. And I remember saying, did you get a picture?
Oh, shoot.
And he didn't know why I asked that. Yeah. And he's like, He looked at me like, huh? He's like, yeah, I got a picture. I was like, that's cool. And that's the story. I was a sore winner. And with the first big win of my life, I didn't get that money shot picture. And it kind of ruined the experience for me. But because Scott came up to me afterwards and was so chill and gave me a beer, it totally changed my attitude. And it basically was the most important win for me too. And that was when I started to realize that some of the most amazing things that are going to happen in your life aren't going to be recorded.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? So I think the moral of the story is you can accomplish great things in life, but just because it's not recorded doesn't mean it didn't happen. Just because you don't have a picture doesn't mean it didn't happen. And it doesn't mean that you're still not a champion. What do you think of the story, babe?
I love it. I think you told me that one before.
Did I tell you? Did I tell you in all that detail?
No.
Right on. Well,
Pretty cool.
I got lots more stories for you. If you guys ever want to hear another story like that about the trials and tribulations of being an elite athlete or in construction, comment below and I'll share more.